So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight I'm joined by Lucas Anderson. He's the singer and the drummer for the band Funeral Leech. They're a band from New York that plays death doom metal, and they're about to release their sophomore album on April 5th. So, first of all, Lucas, how are you tonight?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Good. So yeah, I
Yeah.
listened to the record, and so there's a lot of like bands that are doing like heavy music in New York. I guess it's
Mhm.
something about living in so much concrete that would get you like pumped up with anger.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's definitely something over here that puts that out in us.
Yeah. So you are the drummer and the singer. That's a combination that's not that common on metal. There are drummers. So tell us a little bit about the history of Funeral Leech for people that do not know the band.
Right. So we started in about like 2015, and it was just me and our guitarist Zach. We had been playing in a band previously called Grudges.
Mhm.
Um, and we wanted to play a little slower. Grudges was like a grindcore band. And me and Zach both really had a heavy taste for death and doom, and we wanted to play a little bit slower than grindcore. So we started throwing around these riffs, and eventually started bringing the other members into the fold who I've been in previous bands with. So it was people we've all played music with before. Um, and after we started with me just messing around on vocals. But as time went on, it just made more sense to just have me do the vocals.
Well, if you're already doing the vocals and you're there,
Yeah.
they would be like, yeah, let just Lucas handle the vocals. So the album, it's funny. You're putting out on April 5th, and it's got five
Mhm.
songs. If you had
Yeah.
released it in May, it would have been 555.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That
Yeah,
would have been funny. Yeah.
yeah, that would have been a nice Easter egg. So it's
Yeah.
five songs, and this is an album that on this it's called The Illusion of Time. So it's
Yes.
all about time not being real, being an illusion. So do I know that you have there's five songs and the sky wept,
Mhm.
ceaseless wheel of becoming, penance, chrono fiction, and the tower. And you have some very like long tracks here. So the I think the album in runtime is like 42 minutes, right?
Yeah, I think it's 43. I think it clocks in at.
43
Mhm.
minutes. So when you were working on this, follow-up album, did you have did you know that you wanted to do a concept about time in particular and like the lack of time or time is irrelevant?
I mean, so when the last album came out, it was, right when the world kind of shut down. So all a lot of us had was time. And it just like we immediately, since it became very clear we weren't going to be able to play shows anytime soon, we started like kind of building the groundwork for this album. Um, and a lot of the themes are kind of just building off of what I had written about in Death Meditation. And so the general idea of this album is that the illusion of time is that we think it's infinite when it's not particularly. It's kind of could be nothing further from the fact.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. And what do you mean by death meditation?
Death Meditation was just that was the last album before this, and
Oh, okay, because you said, well, I
yeah.
think about because you're talking about, okay, so that was the last album. So
Hmm.
you were going on the themes of that one to this one. Uh,
Hmm.
so what themes do you explore? Because I know that like every song in particular, I think handles like different, you're writing about time, guilt, grief, and loss.
Hmm.
Do all the songs go into each other like a constant story, or is each song like their own thing?
Uh, each song kind of, yeah, I would say it's kind of a story. It has a general theme that it passes on. Um, one or two of the songs, could kind of be their own thing, but for the general theme of it, it is all basically, I wouldn't say a concept album per se, but it has like a heavy concept to it.
Okay, yeah, no, when I was listening to it, I didn't know if like the songs all flowed into each other in the story. So, take me a little bit about the writing process for the band. How do you tackle when you're writing lyrics? How do you get inspired? What is the process that you do when you're working on this record?
So I write lyrics pretty frequently. A lot of them don't get used, and a lot of them get kind of combined into one song. So I'm constantly writing. We usually have the music written first. There's been one or two cases where the lyrics are like, okay, I want to write a song for this, but nine times out of ten, it's me and our guitarists working together, creating the music, and then I kind of sit and think of what lyrics would fit to that and what could sound cool and what idea would work best with that song. And as far as like my lyric writing goes, I get inspired by a lot of stuff that happens in real life, stuff that happens in my life, and just stuff I see, happening in the people I care about's lives. And or there's a few times where I'm inspired from like a line from another song, and I kind of build off of that line.
Okay, so different things inspire you. So I know that it's being a drummer and singing because to me it looks like very hard to like drum, even though you're doing like more Def Doom, that's slower. Maybe it's
Mhm.
if it's grindcore, it would be like tougher to sing. So when you're writing something, are you thinking of like, okay, like the drum parts on this part need to be like slower so I can do the singing? How do you handle that?
I kind of wish I did that for some of these songs. We one or two of the songs we never actually like performed fully with vocals, like before we recorded it. So when we like sat down to, because the show we're playing in 2 or 3 weeks with Mortuous, we're playing the album front to back. So we've been practicing these songs meticulously. And the first time we got together to practice for this, that was one of the first times I performed vocals with one or two of these songs, and it threw me off for a minute. But I think I subconsciously thought about how it would fit while I'm playing
Mhm.
because it wasn't too hard to pick up. I might not have been purposefully doing it, but I feel like I subconsciously like had that in the back of my mind that this is gonna sound better if I'm doing it with this styling or pattern, and it's gonna work easier while I'm playing drums.
Yeah, because I'm not a musician, but I'm thinking it has to be harder to sing playing drums than playing a bass or a guitar, because drums are so demanding.
It was definitely I've done this now in several bands, like dating back to like 2004 or five. So I've had like a plenty of time to get the hang of singing and playing drums. So thankfully it's not that hard for me anymore, but it was definitely like really hard when I was younger.
No, I would imagine. Uh, so for you, like getting into the your vocal style of singing, like did you have any growing up any like singers or musicians that inspired the way that you like to play?
Yeah, for sure. The two big ones is Chris Ryford from Autopsy
Oh, okay.
and Dino from Asunder and Dystopia. Those are two singing drummers. I kind of resonate with Dino a little more because he has a lot more going on. Like he's a lot more chaotic than Chris is. Um, but in my I feel like some of my drumming is chaotic, but also some of it is very concentrated and almost like meditation like.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
as far as vocals go, as far as vocals go, yeah, like Dino's vocal styling in Asunder is like my biggest inspiration.
Yeah, no, interesting. And how it's interesting how you say like some of your drumming feels like meditation. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the like more we'll get into a groove in some songs and it's just churning and very like you've listened to the full new record, yes?
Yes, I did.
So one part I can think of off the top of my head is the ending of Chrono Fiction. In fact, that entire song is one the word I'm thinking of. It stays one speed basically. The actual pattern goes up and down, but the double kick stays almost the same throughout the entire song. There's a few spots where I stop, but like no matter, it's the only song that has one time signature on the album.
Yeah, because
Um,
a lot of there's a longer songs and they have some changes.
mhm.
But you know, it's got a lot of like doom to it. But the
Yeah,
vocal
yeah.
can be aggressive at times. But yeah, I remember in the last one, Chrono Fiction, I was listening to it and not watching. I was like listening without looking at the titles while I was like
Mhm.
doing some other stuff, and then I looked at the titles. But yeah, I did listen to it a few times to prepare for this.
Yeah.
And I thought that the concept was interesting. So I'm gonna show the artwork of the new album that's
Okay.
coming out on the 5th. Okay, here it is. The Illusion of Time. Obviously, you have time there, and
Mhm.
I like the color red. It appears to be like some souls or any or things like that. What were you trying to like convey with the artwork? Because I can see there's someone in the hourglass.
Yes. So the hourglass is kind of if you look at closer, the guy is basically turning to the sand in the hourglass, like he's basically disintegrating into the hourglass, and the faces and stuff are supposed to kind of convey like the chaoticness of the world around him. Like time is keeps moving no matter what's going on in your head. Like you could be having just like the worst possible stuff happen in your life, but like time keeps swirling around, and that's the stuff that's coming out of the bottom of the hourglass. I really wanted our last record, the only colors on it were really just it was like black, white, and I think a gold. So I wanted something a little more colorful to like almost pop out, and I was really happy with this color palette that we came up with.
Yeah, because I think the red really pops out, and you see the hand is like a bluish type of tone. The
Yeah,
hand
it's
almost
almost a
looks
purple.
like he kind of looks like Skeletor hands from He-Man, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional, but it kind of looks like Skeletor's hand.
It wasn't, but I see it now.
Yeah, no, well, if, for people who are fans of that music, yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at I know Death Meditation came out in 2020.
Mhm.
Yes, the it looks very different from this one. This one has more color. Uh,
It's the same artist too, which is
mhm.
I think he outdid himself with this one, to be honest.
What's the name of the artist for people who like?
Uh, his name is Karmazid.
Oh, cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like yeah, it's a cool album. Uh, Cover. And so, yeah, the time concept. So you are about to release this on April 5th, and you mentioned
Mhm.
that you're going to have some shows. Is it going to be like an album release show?
We are doing an album release show on the 13th with Mortuous and Cemetery Filth.
That's a great name.
Yeah. We are also doing a listening party on the actual release date on the 5th, and we're doing it at a friend's coffee shop.
Oh, that's nice.
Um, yeah, we're gonna have copies of the record there. We made I'm like a huge like vinyl nerd, like a record nerd.
I
I
can
you can
tell
tell
you
from
have.
behind. Yeah, yeah. So we made like limited covers just for the record release, like that are gonna be hand numbered and stuff. Like I always love when bands do that, so I wanted to do one ourselves.
Yeah, no, I have vinyls myself, vinyl.
Hmm.
And yes, it's mostly the stuff that I get is like 90s stuff, but I do have some
Hmm.
newer music. So yeah, I can tell you have quite a collection. Like what are like what records in your collection would you say are your rarest finds? The ones that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I found this one.
I mean, it wasn't really something that I found, but it was something that was passed down to me. My father passed down the first pressing of the Ramones album, and
Ooh,
it's autographed by all of them. So that's kind of like the selling point to that. That's
oh yeah, you need to keep
and
that one safe.
yeah, it's framed. It's not even back here. It's framed and on the wall. I actually went with him in the '90s to get it signed. It's signed on the front and back, two separate times, and I went with him to do the back signing.
Awesome. What was yeah, was all the band members there, Joey and everyone?
Well, so the second time around, um, it wasn't the same lineup as the first record. It was like I think Marky
Mm.
and I want to say either CJ or Tommy were there. So the back of the record is autographed by a bunch of the other ones, but the front is actually when my dad went and saw them in the '70s, and he got it signed then by the original lineup.
Yeah, no,
So the
that's awesome.
no.
Yeah, I got passed down. I had Thriller from Michael Jackson, like one of the
Oh, awesome.
pressings, but it's not
Yeah.
signed by him. So, but I have it. So besides that one, which other like any other like or like maybe like a vinyl record that people wouldn't assume that you would own because
Ooh.
people think that metalheads only listen to metal, but not that's not the case.
I have a ton of video game soundtracks.
Oh, which
Um,
video games?
um, like Earthbound, Suikoden. I have a Metal Gear Solid one. I have Legend of Zelda.
That
Uh,
should be a good one, the Legend of Zelda one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I have the
Metal Gear
Final
Solid
Fantasy
always gave me
ones.
stress.
Oh, yes,
Because it
yes,
have that sound where he said where he's like where he's like about to
yes.
trigger. Oh,
It does. That's actually on my phone. Is my when I get a text, it's that noise.
why would you do that to yourself? That's like a stressful sound, like for that one. So yeah,
Yeah.
we see like I think record collecting the last I think like 5 years has become like more prominent. So so when you go on tour and stuff like that, do you always try to take time to go to record stores in different areas?
Ideally, yes. If there's time to do that, that's always like one of the big things I want to do.
Yeah, I find sometimes when you go to shows and some bands are selling vinyl at the shows, I'm like it's kind of like difficult to buy vinyl in a show because you're not gonna buy it before the concert. Then you're everyone's gonna be moshing and you're gonna have like
Yeah, you
the
have to carry it.
oh I hate buying stuff like at the beginning. And sometimes I buy shirts, but I hate like having something and I'm like all the like I'm like I'd rather buy it at the end where the concert is over if there's stuff left. So so what's next for the band? You know, you're releasing this album. Are you already working on new material?
I think the plan is to start that. We're not gonna start right away.
No.
But we wanna hopefully not wait another 4 years between albums. So we're gonna start
Yeah,
writing
but
soon enough.
you had a it made sense that you waited
Yeah,
4 years
I know.
because like
I know. I also like I know for a fact we're not going to be one of those bands that's putting out a new record every year, but like ideally it would not be another 4 years.
I'm trying to remember. I think that there's hardly any bands that put out records every year. I've
Yeah, I think nowadays it's almost like a 2 year gap in between them. But I feel like there's like one or two bands that'll do it every once in a while. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
no, me neither. Like
Yeah.
that release, like I know it's not Tool that, that release
I
album.
do I do find it very impressive when a band can consistently like put out records.
No, yeah, it's time consuming. Plus, you gotta
Yeah.
write. You gotta, you know, it takes a lot. Uh,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna release something, like with quality over quantity. So yeah, Lucas, it's been awesome chatting with you. Yeah, I can tell you had that cool collection, and yeah, Funeral Leech I would recommend to people who like Death Doom, like long songs. I think of well, there's a few bands that are doing this style, and that's an interesting question because sometimes Death Doom, like how do you, because sometimes Death and Doom, it's like a plodding, like slow pace.
Mhm.
How do you keep it like fresh in that department, to stand out, because in the genre.
Well, I do like the idea that every Death Doom band I can think of, none of them sound alike. Everyone's doing it in
Yeah.
their own like kind of way. Um, we with this new record, we tried to like branch out a little bit and add some new parts to keep it kind of fresh, but also like do stuff we wanted to do with the first record, but like didn't find the way to perceive. So it's nice when a band branches out a little bit while staying true to their sound.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask.
That's true for
There's
sure.
some
Yeah.
fans who are gonna say like this doesn't sound like the demo or the first record they sold out, or they'll say this sounds exactly the same and bitch and complain.
Yes. I am very happy when bands innovate and try new things.
Yeah, I think I just depend on what they do. There's some bands
Sure. Yeah.
like there's I can think of like a band that like changed their sound to drastically, that the next record is totally different. I'm like, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
put some changes, but not make the whole record different. Like for
Right.
uh, a few weeks ago, I have a series called "Is It That Bad?" where we take a look at albums that were maybe people thought were bad, and someone suggested a Paradise Lost album called "Host," which sounds more like a Depeche Mode record, but I've listened to Paradise Lost, but not like a huge. I've listened to them,
Mhm.
but I wasn't attached to their sound. So to me, I actually love Depeche Mode. So I listened to it. I'm like,
Yeah.
this sounds like a darker Depeche Mode, and I'm like, no, it wasn't that bad. It was different from their other sound, but it was well executed. So that's a good example of that.
I'm gonna have to. I actually had no idea they did an album like that, so I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yes, I didn't know either. It came out in 1998 or
Okay.
1999, and
I stick to like the like first three releases usually, so I
yeah.
guess I didn't branch out that far.
Yeah, it's an album that is totally different from them. They totally like, it sounds like it's more like synth wave,
Mhm.
dark. It's like a darker Depeche Mode.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds right up my alley, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
I
I listen to different things. In this channel I talk from punk, shoegaze, doom, like thrash, like every style.
yeah, yeah.
So I try to branch out and listen to different things. So besides the show, so you're doing it at a coffee shop. Is it gonna be nighttime or in the daytime?
It's gonna be in the evening.
Yeah.
They stay open a little later and they start serving like I believe beer and wine after like 6 or 7. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be at like 7:30, I
Yeah.
believe,
So
7:30
you
p.m.
play the record for them, and are you gonna have like a Q&A afterwards, or talk a little bit about the record?
I think right now we're going to be selling the record there. If people, it's like a almost like a meet and greet if people want that. But yeah, the coffee shop itself, they also sell vinyl and they have like a
Oh,
nice record set up there. So I think we're going to listen to it on the vinyl itself.
what's the name of the coffee shop?
It's called Honeymoon Coffee Shop.
Honeymoon Coffee Shop. Nice.
Mhm.
Is it in Brooklyn or not?
It's in Ridgewood in Queens.
Oh, okay, nice.
No.
So yeah, sounds like a cool way to do like an album release party. I don't think they do that much. Like back in the day, they did stuff like that. And well, back in the day, you would go to a record store at 12, like a huge record store, to get like
Yeah.
album when they first opened. Now you just wait for your phone to
Yeah.
be 12 to listen to it, but it's not the same feeling. So
Not the
Lucas,
same.
anything that you would like to say before we go to the Funeral Leech fans on what to expect?
Well, I hope you appreciate this album and all that we put into it, and I hope it speaks for itself in like
Yeah,
what we're gonna do for the future.
yeah, that sounds like a solid statement. So people, the new Funeral Leech record is out April the 5th. I'll put the links in the description box for people who want to pre-order the record, and I'll put a link to one of the videos or songs so people can listen to one of the songs before it's out. So, Luca, thank you for taking some time of your evening to chat with me all about it and joining me virtually here on the couch. So,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.